you doing?
Pretty good. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm going to start with, I thought this movie was so fantastic. You're obviously great in it. I'm sure it's been like a love fest all day. Everyone talking to you, being so, you can tell when the movie's good, I'm sure, on your end, when everyone is so enthusiastic.
You know, you never know. I love this movie. I think Kevin Macdonald did an amazing job, and I'm just so proud of being a part of it. And also having been there for Tahar Rahim's performance. He plays Mohamedou Ould Slahi, and he just gave so much as an actor. It's just such an honor to be in that presence.
The thing about you specifically is that you are very selective with the roles you take on. And if you look at your resume, you'll see it is very selective. I know you must be offered way more scripts than you actually say yes to. So can you talk a little bit about why you are so selective, and because I would like to see you acting more, and what was it about this particular project that said, yeah, I'm making this?
Yeah, well, I've been working in the business for 55 years, and it's a long time to do one job. And as the years have gone on, I have become more selective. I think I don't want to repeat myself. I want to make movies that mean something to me, that are moving, and that have the opportunity to raise people up and make people better instead of worse. And otherwise, I do prioritize directing. So I direct quite a bit more, and I do other things as well. Like I live a life, and I have a family, and I, do stuff. So yeah, I think you can pretty much guarantee that if I'm in a film, that it means that I care about it, and that it's for me, it's really worth spending that amount of time. It's a very privileged place to be in. I know that's true, but sometimes I end up doing supporting characters. Sometimes it's a comedy. You kind of never know what it is that's going to touch me.
Got it. Well, what was it specifically about this role, this project, that said, I want to spend time making it?
Yeah, well, first of all, it was Mohamedou's story. So that really, I didn't know anything about Guantanamo at all. And as an American in 9/11, I certainly lived that moment and that fear and terror that we all felt. And I realized that I hadn't really questioned what was happening with the detainees or who were in prison. I mean, I just didn't question it. And I found out so much. And so that really led me to wanting to make the film. But then also Nancy Hollander, who is this extraordinary ball of contradictions, this crazy character who's such a hero for those people who care about social justice and about the rule of law and the Constitution.
One of the things that I really admire about Kevin is the way he has brought his documentary style into narrative features. And I'm curious, what is it like for you working with someone like that, who's always looking for the authenticity of the moment?
Yeah, he is absolutely the right director for this project. I mean, when it came to me with Kevin, and I was like, yes, those two things need to go together. He has that found documentary spirit where he pieces together bits of footage, and each character has a point of view that is, a defendable point of view. But then he also has a sense of cinema as well. I think that's important as well. You can't just have one without the other, and try to make a film that captures this kind of emotion. So he was able to isolate and understand that this was Mohamedou's story, and that he needed to be central, and that there needed to be that specific character arc throughout.
You've directed a lot, and I'm curious how that is for you on set when you're acting. Do you ever catch yourself being like, man, I would have used a different lens, or sort of looking at everything that's going on and just having to hold yourself in from saying something?
Well, yes and no. I mean, part of the good thing that I bring to the set is that I do know how to make movies. And so I can help the director, and I can anticipate what he's trying to get at, and help bring it to him. So I think it's a plus mostly, but yes, sometimes I'm sitting there thinking like, wonder why he's doing that. He shouldn't do this. This is going to happen. But the big thing you may not know is that everybody who's making the movie is doing that, because everybody wants to be a director. So anybody that has any experience on a set is always second guessing the vision, but we know where our place is, and I embrace it. I love being the person who gets to drink coffee and say like, okay, where do I stand? Sure.
I've spoken to a lot of people who are actor directors, and they talk about that, sometimes a director will come over to them, be like, well, what would you do? And an actor I spoke to recently was like, not my problem. I'm just acting today.
No, and then sometimes, you'll offer something up. I mean, I remember I was working with David Fincher, and there was a scene where we were doing, and he said, he actually asked, was just surprising. He asked about something. And I said, well, you kind of have two choices. One, you could do it this way, which is really cold and is kind of like binary and is all these things. Or if we do it this way, then you'll have this sort of sense of emotion and we'll be a little disoriented and this and that. And he's like, I think I'll go with the cold way. I was like, okay, you got it.
Believe me when I say I could spend the entire interview talking about you working with Fincher, because I think he's what we call talented.
Yes.
Just a little. But I want to sort of talk about the fact that there's this moment in this movie where in Guantanamo, the iguanas, I think, were more important to not disturb than probably the prisoners. They were probably treated better than anything else in the base. Can you sort of talk about that weirdness?
Yeah, every once in a while you'll have these little facts that pop up in a movie that's based on a true story that you can't quite believe. That there are all of these, pages of documents about how you were supposed to treat the iguanas because they were an endangered indigenous species to the island. And of course, there they were torturing prisoners and waterboarding and sexual torture and all sorts of things. The irony was not lost on us.
I'm going to run out of time with you soon, but I, as a fan of your work behind the camera, I have to ask, what are you currently developing? What are you thinking about doing?
Oh, I probably won't tell you, but I've been working on a couple of things that I'm working on as a director, and mostly for streaming, because that's really where it's at. That's really where the great narrative is right now.
Well, you did direct an episode of Black Mirror, and that was at Netflix. I would
Yes.
imagine that was a positive experience. What?
Love it. I've worked a lot with Netflix. In fact, I think they're I have worked a lot at Netflix. I love them. And I love Black Mirror. I just felt very honored that they pulled me out of a hat and they plucked me up and they gave me this wonderful, wonderful piece to do that just felt very me. So yeah, Charlie Booker is genius.
I really wish I could find out what you're directing next. So, but I know you're not going to tell me. I'm going to switch to my last thing, which is I love the movie Contact.
Oh,
Just love. I could, again, that's another thing I could spend this entire interview talking about. One of the things I love is specifically the ending. And now that it's been out for 23 years, I think we can talk about it. So was it always that ending? Did you guys ever debate doing something else? Because I love the way you sort of, what it is, but you are never sort of confirming it.
Now, when you're talking about the ending, you mean like when I come back and everybody says only a few seconds went by or something? Okay. Because there's another ending to the movie where I'm teaching, kids on a reservation. That's not the one you're talking about. That was in the book. And that is the amazing, incredible, iconic Carl Sagan, who wrote the book of Contact, but also wrote the original screenplay, which it was based on, his screenplay that was based on. And then he decided he wasn't a very good screenwriter, so he went back and wrote the book. Carl was with us while we were shooting, and he died in the middle of the shoot, sadly. But he was always a part of that process. And I think, it very much reflects Carl's worldview. I
got to go. Congrats on everything. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.